theme parks and murders. Before I begin, I would like to thank Ken and Jeremy for coming to our presentation. I know you've received various thank yous, but this one comes from my heart. And I would also like to thank Professor Michelle for coordinating all this and giving us this professional experience. So today, our purpose here for coming today is to talk about the parking lot congestion issues. I have to say the whole thing because what we're including is not only the drive-through congestion, but also the parking lot congestion at large. So today we have, these are our main points, and Riley Watson will be discussing our introduction. I will be discussing our primary research. Riley again will be discussing our secondary research, and Aleli Solis will be discussing our findings and conclusions, and Alex Abundano will be discussing our recommendations. So to begin, Riley will discuss the introduction.
Thank you, Veronica. Like she said, I'm Riley. I'll be discussing the introduction. Basically, to kind of understand the purpose behind the parking lot congestion issue, you kind of have to understand the background of what's happening in the shopping complex that Chick-fil-A is entailed with. You have a parking lot that has basically two main entrance and exits, making it extremely difficult for customers to enter and exit this during peak hours of business. This is not just because Chick-fil-A is busy, it's because the entire shopping center is busy. This presumably causes customer frustration as well as possible customers saying, I don't feel like waiting in that traffic jam right now, I'm going to another place. These are all concerns that were addressed in the initial meeting that we had with you guys at the beginning of the semester. And so in an attempt to kind of see if there is an actual correlation between those two aspects, we issued primary data surveys asking questions like, would you guys attend more if there was less traffic, such and so forth, like that, those type of questions. We also explored secondary research to kind of further our findings and solidify what we would recommend on possible solutions to address this parking lot congestion issue. I will now pass it back to Veronica, who will talk about the primary research data collection.
Thank you, Riley, for that lovely introduction. So for our primary research, we thought the best way to know St. Edward's University student opinion would be to ask St. Edward's University students. So our target population was St. Edward's University undergraduate students. Our population was around 5,000 students. We distributed 201 surveys and we received back 201 surveys. Only 27 were considered invalid. Our purpose, once again, was to know what their customer experience was with that parking lot congestion issue. In the future slides, I'm going to discuss the different questions that we asked to know that. Our surveys went through a multi-step review process. They were first checked by the students of our business communication class, thank you, and then they were directly reviewed by Michelle Sylvestre, and then lastly by Jeremy. The surveys that were considered invalid were surveys that had 3 or less questions that were left unanswered or didn't properly answer the question, which would be like in question 5, which was our ranking question, which I'll now discuss. So these were our survey questions. We thought that a good introduction to knowing what our survey was like was by knowing what was actually on our survey, what the students were being asked. We had yes or no questions, and we had circle or let apply. The questions had things like the time, if they elected, this was provided by Jeremy, if they selected the carryout option, it was the reason why they selected the carryout option as their option. And lastly, this was the ranking question. These are different factors that we wanted to ask the students to rank to see what they look for in a fast food restaurant. And now I'll pass it off to Lily, who will discuss I will pass it off to Riley, who will discuss the secondary information that would give you more information about other industries, the fast food industry, and what they're doing about fast food. Here you go, Riley.
Thank you again, Veronica. As she just mentioned, I will be now talking about the secondary data research that was performed for this business report. Just to be clear, this slide is just concerning about the reasons why we wanted to conduct the secondary research. Aleli will be discussing the findings that were generated from this research to specify what actually we got from those articles, reports, and other visuals such as maps. We collected multiple articles concerning the efficiencies at specific kinds of business, dinner time, breakfast time, what kind of efficiency is at those types of fast food restaurants across the nation. We also found through those articles possible remedies and solutions to make those efficiency types of better for drive-through as well as carry-out. We also referenced a map right here that was highlighted by managers at Chick-fil-A concerning traffic areas region, showing right here and right here exiting both times. You see that this is one main entrance right here coming to this access road that also exits Walmart's traffic right here. We also received a crosstab report produced by Chick-fil-A concerning the references of drive-through, carry-out, and dine-in options, along with how satisfied the customer was. We then reviewed remedies not only from the efficiency of fast food restaurants around the nation and their possible solutions for drive-through efficiency, but also other solutions that other shopping centers around Austin have done to make just their parking lot congestion better. These possible locations are things like the Uncle Walk in North Austin on the intersection of North and Mopac, as well as Whole Foods on Lamar. And I'll pass it to Ellie, who's going to talk about the findings and conclusions from our primary and secondary data.
So my name is Ellie Solis, and I will be discussing our findings and conclusions in our primary and secondary research. So in order, as Veronica previously stated, all of our results are based on only percentage of percent Edwards students. And for our information to be more concrete on this specific location, we wanted to know what our student population, or the amount of student population that attended this Chick-fil-A. And as you can see, 74% of our students do attend this specific location. So our input is very closely related. We also wanted to identify if our student population affected the traffic congestion issue, and we were able to see that not so much in the morning times. There's also that could probably potentially be an area of improvement to be able to create more grants for St. Edward students. But effectively, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 10 p.m., there's an almost equal distribution of students who do attend and potentially contribute to the traffic congestion issue as well. For the carry-out option, we incorporate our question in the way that or the method that they choose whenever they attend Chick-fil-A. And although only 14% of our students do choose the carry-out option, the reason it wasn't due because they had a bad experience with customer service or because of food, the quality of the food, but in fact it was due to the lines at the drive-thru being too long and the dining area being too full. We also wanted to see what other factors they consider whenever they attend fast food restaurants or whenever they're trying to choose what fast food restaurants they want to attend. And their number one choice was actually food quality, followed by service efficiency and speed as their second and third choice. This graph is merged together, both the second and third choices. It was just wanting to represent that was the highest second and third choice. In order, if this traffic issue problem were to be resolved or there was a solution that could improve it, 70% of the students agreed that they would attend Chick-fil-A at that specific location more. Now for our secondary research, we researched articles that were related to how they improved service efficiency, as well as methods that they've used to be able to better their traffic congestion issues. And these are the three main resources: Bloomberg Business Week, QSR Magazine, and a report on KXA and Austin News. For Bloomberg Business Week, we were able to identify that not only does Chick-fil-A have problems with traffic congestion, but other stores, other fast food restaurants do as well. And one of the factors that may contribute to it is the fact that some of the food, the complexity of foods, and they vary throughout the day. And because people have so many options and they're able to customize their meals, McDonald's, for instance, they had their most optimal time, their most optimal time for them, their most Yes, the ultimate time for them to be more efficient was during their breakfast time as opposed to their lunch or dinner. In order for them to be able to improve their drive-through congestion and attend to their customers, they have incorporated a third service window. They have also identified the times where they have low customers that attend that specific, not the specific location, but where they just in general have low amount of customers that attend. And what they do is they promote items to specifically target those times. So for McDonald's, they have different snacks that they offer or drinks. That way they can have an equal distribution of customers that attend throughout the day. For Wendy's, they incorporated as a grill, a sandwich roll that's closely accessible to the drive-thru lane. That way they're reducing the distance of where they're preparing the food and where the customer is at. And then for the KXA and Austin News Report, it was in regards to the Overwatch Shopping Center, and they also had an issue in regards to the traffic congestion. And what they did was hire off-duty police officers to direct traffic that was coming in and out. They had, during their time during the holiday season is when they had a lot of traffic issues, and that was one of the methods that they used to be able to avoid congestion. And I will pass it on to Alex Aventano, who will be presenting our recommendations.
Thank you. My name is Alex, and I will be talking about our recommendations for the parking lot congestion issue. So we have 3 recommendations and 1 main recommendation that will get more in depth in a second. But the basics are hiring an off-duty police officer during peak hours, so he would just coordinate traffic. Number 2 would be contact businesses who have experienced similar issues. And an example of this is Whole Foods on Lamar and 6. Very heavy induced traffic area, and they actually have 2 police officers during the peak hours. Number 3 would be to encourage customers to attend during non-peak hours, and this would just be to focus on whatever promotions are done to target a specific time for customers to go in. All right, so to get more into the main recommendation, which is hiring an off-duty police officer. So one important thing is that because hiring the off-duty police officer is going to benefit the entire complex, all businesses contribute to funding that, and an example of that would be taking the top 5 businesses that contribute to the most traffic during peak hours, such as Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Walmart, Cabo Bob's, and Wells Fargo, and then having them all pay for it together, so since they're all going to benefit from it. And the actual procedures for hiring the off-duty police officer, there's a website called policeofficers.com, and you go on there, you fill out a form, and they get back to you. Now, to get into the economics of hiring the off-duty police officer, so it costs $32.30 per hour per police officer. So with that being said, if you were to hire one for 5 hours a day during peak hours, 1 in the morning for breakfast, 2 hours in lunchtime, and 2 hours for dinner, so multiply that by 5, you get $161.50. But if you have the 5 businesses split the fees, it would bring it back down to $32.30 per business, per police officer, per day. So with that being said, if the average net return per customer is about $1.07, after 30 additional customers of the 5 hours of the police officer serving, you would actually make a return on your investment. Well, first you cover the fees, and then every additional customer would be a profit. And since we saw from our surveys that 70% of the students said that they would be more likely to attend Chick-fil-A if there was less traffic, we believe that could easily be done. So that does it for our recommendations, and I will hand it over to Veronica, who will be closing the presentation for us.
Thank you, Alex. So in conclusion, we discussed the following points. We discussed our research purpose, which I want to reiterate that with all the lovely ideas that the other groups have presented, these are all ideas to attract more St. Edward students to coming to Chick-fil-A. But if you're already having problems with having an increase in customers coming, it would be a good idea to solve the traffic issue so that the rest of these ideas can work successfully. And so we talked about the secondary information that Riley covered, which was other businesses that had similar traffic issues and how they solved it. and other fast food restaurants, like installing a second grill or And then how Lindsay covered in her findings and conclusions the fact that 74% of St. Edward students do attend Chick-fil-A, which I think is a very substantial number considering there's so many other restaurant options in Austin. And then lastly, I would like to reiterate Alex's final recommendation, which was to hire an off-duty police officer. We're all available for you to contact if you want to know more information on how to implement these policies. So thank you for listening to our presentation. We are now open to questions.